Hey, what's up, everybody? Just wanted to share a word from God with you all. I was just in my Bible and I was reading James 1, and I found something that, I feel like I need to speak on. We're going to go James 1, verses 26 to 27. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is in vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. Now, reading this, the first thing I thought about was um in today's society, in today's Christianity, might I say that we focus so much on acts of worship. We focus so much on singing. We focus so much on praying. We focus so much on the Lord's Supper. We focus so much on preaching. We focus so much on all these different acts of worship towards God. But in this particular text, and particularly James 1:27, it says, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. In this text, the word religion means threskia. Threskia means pretty much an act of worship. It means a ceremonial practice, no different than the Lord's Supper or anything like that. And all those things, the Lord's Supper and prayer, we consider those things very important. But this text is telling us pure as in clean, clean act of worship and an untainted act of worship before God is to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So, from a priority standpoint, you find out when you read throughout the scriptures that God puts major emphasis on looking out for the orphans, looking out for the widows, being sanctified and being holy. These things above all are pretty much priority to us. What was most interesting to me is realizing that, all right, the only things we really want to zone in about is what we do when we assemble together. But this right here, these can be individual acts. These can be acts of worship when you're not assembled because you're constantly in worship. Uh, that's another thing people are not getting now. We don't understand that we're constantly in worship and that worship never ends. When you're a living sacrifice, worship can't stop. When you read in the Old Testament, you read about them making daily sacrifices. A sacrifice was considered worship to the Lord. They made a sacrifice in the morning and they made a sacrifice in the evening. That's daily. Have you been making daily sacrifices? Have you been worshiping? Because a lot of teachers today are teaching you that worship is on a Sunday. The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible says you're a living sacrifice. The Bible says everything you do, do unto the Lord. So be careful where you're getting your doctrines from, and be careful that you don't fall into the web that we have here in Western society about worship. And be careful when it comes to religion that we don't fall into the ideas of Western society, because we can read throughout all the scriptures that they were giving their sacrifices, they were burning their incense, but God was telling them, hey, I don't want any of that. I want you to pass righteous judgment upon the widows. I want you to judge the matters rightly among the orphans, and I want you to be holy. And that was the main problem with Amos. They were doing all their sacrifices. They were per se worshiping God, But the problem was they weren't living righteous. And that's the true worship. That's the undefiled worship unto God. So I say today, if you know of any widows, if you know of any orphans, call on them, check on them, see if they have any needs. If you know you haven't been living righteously, turn that around. Live righteously for God. Remain unspotted from this world. These are the things that God desires. This is pure religion. This is the pure and undefiled act of worship. These are the things we're called to do. These are priority. That's all I got to say to you.